All right, good morning, and welcome to Blackwing Trading. My name is Clinton. This is my channel. This is a futures trading channel. On my channel, you will see pre-market analysis and live trading. I trade the S&P 500 futures, and sometimes I do trade the Nasdaq, but for the most part, I am trading the S&P 500 futures, and so that's what you'll see on my channel. And it's my goal that you will see what I do. Hopefully, I can inspire you to start this trading journey and show you that this is something that is very attainable. That you can start your trading journey, begin to make extra money as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started in the charts. Good morning, Abby. Thank you for jumping on this morning. Good to see you on here. Hope everything is going well at Catholic Charities. I want to start off on the charts like I normally do. We go from big and we go down to small. We can see now this is the 1 hour chart, so we can kind of get an idea of what the market has been doing over the past couple of weeks. Definitely has some different volatility. Last week and before, we had some climbs up. We actually hit all-time highs here at 65.08. So it got pretty high up there. That was all-time high for the S&P 500 futures. And then it began to pull back. We started looking at some data that came in, particularly with the bad jobs. Well, not bad jobs claims, but the initial jobless claims from last week was 225,000. Initial jobless claims, and then the PCE numbers came in last week too, and those were a little bit higher. So we can see the market began to take some dips down, and then over the past few days this week, the same thing has happened. This week has been real big with retail earnings and data. So we had people like Target, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot put out all their earnings numbers. So what difference does that make with the market? Well, we have a consumer society, and so the retailers, the market likes to look and see what the retailers are doing with their sales, because if the retailers aren't making as much money, that means that the Americans are pulling back from buying things. So that means that, hey, maybe things are not as good with the average American consumer as we might think. And so we had a mixed bag of retail earnings. Home Depot, they reported that it was definitely a market slowdown, and then they reported some of the effects of tariffs on their bottom line. In the summertime, for like Home Depot and Lowe's and people like that, the summertime is a peak season for them. That's when people get out in the summertime and do all that home improvement stuff. So those numbers caused the market to dip a little bit, and then you just had other retailers coming in. Walmart had kind of like a mixed bag, but Walmart is the low cost retailer, so even in times like this when it's tough, they usually still have sales just because of their low prices. But in any case, just other earnings that's coming out this week is showing that the market is slowing down. Then today we had the initial jobless claims come out again, and so they came up to 235,000, and we can see that happened with the market on this morning. When that data came out, the market first it popped, but then began to dip, and so start pulling back a little bit more, and we can see that right here. So the summary of it is the labor market is starting to feel the effects of the tariffs and non-hiring and things like that. So companies have been waiting to see what's the effect of tariffs, how it's going to affect their bottom line and things like that. So they haven't been hiring. And they haven't been doing a lot of firing, but they just kind of been holding what they got, but they haven't been hiring. There's a lot of hiring freezes all across all types of markets just because of what's going on with the tariffs and things like that in the economy. And so the economy is starting to slow down. So that makes the anticipation even more so for people want to see rate cuts in September. So we're going to see what happens there. But in any case, trading day to day, we can see that the market is pulling back a little bit. So what are those key levels? I always talk about on this channel, I pay attention to key levels because the market remembers price levels, price action. It took me, be honest with you, a couple of years to figure this out, that, hey, the market trades at particular levels. And so if you can identify those levels, I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, but it helps you be able to take trades and recognize where price action may go to in the future. So what happened yesterday? Let's look at this. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger so we can kind of identify some of these levels. The market pulled back and it got as low as 63.75, 74 here, and it pulled back just a little bit below that, actually down to about 63.60, and then it came up, and then it pivoted off 6,400, And you can see that what it did overnight is this, it traded plus or minus around 64.05 up and down a little bit. And then this morning it began to come down from 64.05. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so y'all can see it. It came down a little bit more. And then we can see this morning start to dip below 6,400. Now we're in the 63.90s area right now. So the levels that I'm looking at, obviously 6,400, that's a nice round psychological number. The market does like psychological numbers, 6,400, 6,450, those, those numbers like that, and the intervals are 10 or 5. So 6,400 is in the area to look at. And then this area here, which is a known supply area, support area, is bottom at 64.0725. Reason why that's a specific number is because that was a high. That was an all-time high. I think it's now about 3 weeks ago. And so the market still remembers that number. So that's where the bottom of it is. And, plus 5 up, to give you some fluctuation in trading. So this 64.07 to 64.12 area, this is an area that it could go to on the upside. And then it could even get as high as 64.25. Now, I don't know if it's going to do that or not. Just by looking at the trend and what's been happening over the past couple of days, but it could, so it could go up 6,400 to 64.10, 64.25. Or even if we have some news, it could get as high as 64.40. I don't know if it's going to go that high, but definitely could see it going up to 64.25. Now on the bottom side, we're down at the 63.80s now. 63.75 is the next area, and it kind of got below there too yesterday. And then we can get down into the 63.60, 63.65, 63.60. That's a down area can get to on bottom side going down. Then you can get as low as the 63.40s. If we have a catalyst, or as far as we do have some more data coming out, we have the leading economic indicators coming out a little bit later. I mean, it could even get as low as the 63.30 or 63.20 if it pulls back hard. I don't think it's going to pull back that hard, but, definitely 63.60s. I could see it pulling back to 63.60s. So that kind of gives a bound of range of the price action, the known price action levels around where we could be trading at. 63.60s, 63.75, and even up a little bit higher than that. Those are those areas. I kind of already mentioned our news. We had initial jobless claims at 235 on this morning. Initial jobless claims, 235,000 this morning. And so that data has already come out. We do have services and manufacturing PMI, producer manufacturing index. So that those numbers are out. And then the leading economic indicators are coming out a little bit later as well. We're looking at the GDP and all those other things going to be presented. So, I trade that 15-minute open range break. If you've been on my channel before, that's what I do. We allow 15 minutes of price action, and then we take a definitive trade either up or down, depending on what the trade or which way the market is going. We let the market tell us which way it's going to go, and not the other way around. So that's what we look like now on the 1 hour chart. I can take it down to the smaller level. And that's what we look like on a 5-minute chart, so you can just see that immediate price action. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back up and then begin to cover the top 10 in the S&P 500. I cover the top 10 companies because I trade the index. And so if you look at the top 10 companies in the S&P 500, those are the 500 top large cap companies. And it's a weighted index. That means if a company is bigger, it has more weight on the index. And so when you take the top 10, it's over 30% of the index. So when those companies are doing well, the index is getting pulled up. When the companies are not doing well, it's kind of pulling it down. So that's why I like to look at them. So let's just start at the top. Everybody's favorite phone company, Apple. This is Apple. So Apple's took a dip over the past couple of days, just like the rest of the market. But they're still trading at 225. You can see that they had a big move up a couple of weeks ago. That's because they announced that they were going to do some investments into America with some manufacturing and stuff like that. So shareholders and people like that, so they began to trade up from that point. They were trading at like $200. They got as high as $235. Now they're trading about $225. So they're still maintaining some of that move up, but they have pulled back a little bit over the past couple of days. So, all right, Broadcom has actually been taking a dip. They've pulled back almost to where they were a couple of weeks ago, to the 280s. It's at 289 now, trying to press 290. They had got as high as $318. Broadcom makes semiconductor chips, for phones, for, in cars and other electronics. And so they are a very big semiconductor chip company. But anyway, they've been pulling back over the past couple of days as well with the rest of the market. All right, Tesla. Okay, so either you love them or you hate them. Tesla's been hovering. They've pulled back as well. They were up in the 340s, almost 350. And then they kind of settled around the 330s. That's a sweet spot for them. But now they pulled back below that. Once they get below 300, that's usually, something people are losing confidence or something like that in Tesla. And that's usually depending on what Elon Musk is doing. But nevertheless, they're anchoring around the 320s right now. NVIDIA, the largest company on the index, they were going sideways in the 180s for a while. Then they began to take a dip the past couple of days ago. So now they've actually broke below the 180s and they're now in the 170s. And so interested to see what's going to happen with them. They've been affected by tariffs and some of the things that's coming out of the White House and stuff like that. So they've been trying to navigate that, how the deals that they're working with America. I know one thing they did, them and AMD, which is another big chip company, they worked out a deal to where they want to sell chips to China, but they want to give 15% of the revenue to the United States. And that was kind of to prevent tariffs, higher escalated tariffs. And so there was mixed reviews about that. Chinese is actually rejecting it because they thought that, that the chips are going to have security defaults, and they were recommending companies in China not to buy these chips. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But in any case, they began to start to pull back a little bit to the 170s. Google's still hovering at 200 and above. So, they're still in a good spot. They've been up there for a while. Microsoft has been pulling back hard. They had great earnings. You can see this is their earnings a few weeks ago. They shot up to like 560s. They gained like $60 from $50 from their earnings. And then people took some profits. But then they began to settle out about the 520s, and they were trading sideways for it now. But, with the rest of the market, they've been pulling back pretty hard. And they actually look like they may break $500 going down. So, that's going to be interesting to see what happens from there. Amazon still trading in the 220s. Same thing. They were higher. There's the opening bell. And they traded down. Meta has actually been losing. They were holding some of their awesome earnings. You can see they went from $690 all the way up to like $770, and even got up to like almost $800, and they pulled back, and now they're kind of sitting down in this area in the 740s as well. So the general theme is like these big tech companies, a lot of them are pulling back, and that's why we see the whole entire index pulling back. Yeah, JP Morgan, lastly, largest bank in the world, they just been hovering around 290. In 290s areas. And so they were as high as 300 a couple of weeks ago. But now they've been fluctuating plus or minus, a few dollars around 290. So that's what they sit at. That's the largest company. So I started something yesterday, so I'm doing it again just so everyone knows. I am thinking about, I will be taking a vacation next week and not going live. But when I come back, I'm aiming at September the 8th. I'm probably going to start what we call a small account challenge. And so, like I told you, my goal for this channel is to let people know that this is something that is very attainable and you can earn extra income in it. And so there's normally I trade with Topstep. I'm a funded Topstep trader, and I have my own trading as well. But I found another futures broker called Ninja Trader. And so I've been playing around with them. I started this yesterday. And the reason why I'm interested in doing this, full disclosure, this is a simulated trading account. So you can see it up here where it says demo. So this is not real money. This is what we call paper trading, where you can set everything up, do everything. And that way you can practice trading without putting real money in it, right? So it's very valuable. I recommend that if you're brand new to trading, you can get with a company like this, and then you can paper trade just to get comfortable with how this whole thing works up. Because part of it is just getting comfortable with the platform, learning and stuff like that. And you don't want to make these easy mistakes with real money. You want to make them with fake money, so you can kind of get over the hump. And then once you're ready, you can transition to trading with real money. But one of the reasons why I look into doing this small account challenge with Ninja Trader is because their margins. So their margins are very low. And what that means is, a futures contract has a high value, but brokers will let you trade it on margin, meaning you only have to have a percentage of what that contract value really is to trade it. And so to trade the micro contracts, the normal margin that you need, actually how much they're worth, like if you were trading it overnight, it's like $2,300. But they'll let you trade them with $50 a margin per contract. So, my goal is I'm probably going to put like a couple of $100 in this account, maybe, somewhere between $300, $400, $500. And I'm going to start, I'm aiming around September the 8th. I'm going to start with that, couple of $100 trading the micro contracts. And the challenge is, let's see how much I can turn that $200 or $300, $400, how much I start with. How much can I turn that to in 30 days of trading? So that's a small account challenge. And so I want to show that, okay, this is the power of trading. And if you're executing trading well, and even starting with a small amount of money, you can, over a month, you can probably, multiple, triple, 10 times that amount that you started with, And so I am leaning towards doing that once I come off of vacation. And so this is a good time now for me, since I'm going to be starting when I come back. I want to play with this platform and get set with it, because I'm really not used to trading it that much, but I want to play with it now so I can get used to trading. So you're going to see me take trades today on Ninja Trader. And this, like I said, it is a simulated account. It says it here, simulated demo. And you can change how much your cash value and stuff is. So I have $50,000 worth of cash value in the simulated account. You can change that on their website. And it, it has all your margin amounts with your gross, and unrealized P&L and all that good stuff. But one couple of things I like about them, a lot of things they're like what I trade on Topstep. They have their depth of market chart here, where you can actually place your trades. That's why I place them at. You could do chart trading, where you can move your take profit and stop. And then they have a lot of the risk parameters that Topstep has as well. And so I'm going to trade, probably going to do, I'm 100% positive that I'm going to do a small account challenge starting with them. So I'm hoping, I'm going to be advertising this and putting it on social media and stuff. I'm hoping that you tune in to see it, because you're going to see me take a small amount of money and we're going to see what we can do with it at the end of the month. All right, so let's go back to our normal page. Good morning, Joy. Good to see you on here. Let's go back to the futures. So the market did open, and so we got that first candle is already ended. So let's move to this 5-minute here. All right, so the first candle, dipped down to about, looks like 63.85, and it got as high as 63.98, 97.98. And then the second candle is down. So we just allow, like I said, that 5 minutes of price action with it, and see what happens there. You're going to see me go back and forth between these screens. You'll see me go back and forth these screens, but just so you can see again, this is Ninja Trader. Ninja Trader is a very popular futures trading. They're not like a newbie, anything like that. They've been around ever since like 2003. So they've been in the game for a while. Very low margins. You can trade it. I normally trade the mini contracts, and the margin on that really is like $23,000. But depending on what your broker is, they'll allow you to trade it like day trading. They'll allow you to trade it with, different amounts of margin. But Ninja Trader will allow you to trade the mini contracts with $500 of margin, which is crazy. So, I'm, excited about doing this small account challenge. And I'm just testing it out, working out some kinks, getting used to using it. And my goal date is to start at September the 8th, once I come back off vacation. And then we're going to go 1 month out from September the 8th to October the 8th. And see what I can turn, what my initial deposit is. My goal is somewhere around about $200 or $300. I'm gonna put it in there. Start trading the micro contracts. The micro contracts, you only need $50 worth of margin. So put a couple $100 in there, maybe trade a couple of contracts here and there, and then increase as I go. And we can see what we can turn that into. So I'm excited about that. And if you're interested in trading futures, this would be definitely be a good company that you can do it with, because they do have the demo account. When I trade on Topstep, they actually don't have demo. You're trading to try to get qualified with them because they are funded broker. But Ninja Trader has a simulated account, and you do have to. Other thing though, you do have to subscribe to their market data because they don't give that to you for free. So I had to pay like $4 for that, $8 for that. But I subscribe to their market data, and you can actually take real trades in real time. It's just not real money. And so there's a lot of value in that, because if you're new to it, you can work out all the kinks, you can get your routine, you can do all this good stuff without real money. And then when you feel comfortable, go ahead, fund your account with real money. And then you go ahead and, and start your journey. And so this is what it looks like. This is what the setup looks like. I tweaked it a little bit to make sure everything is seen. Hopefully it's good and visible. But going back to the normal chart, we can see that this candle has retraced back some, and then now we got to pull up. So we're just going to kind of wait and see what we get. We got another candle coming here in another minute. The market has been pulling back. The initial jobless claims this morning was like 235,000 jobs, which is a little bit higher from last week. And so the market is kind of digesting that data. The trend that we kind of seeing is that the labor market is, going down a little bit, but the inflation is kind of creeping up a little bit. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in September, the next couple of weeks with the rate changes. Yeah, it does sound fun to. Hopefully, I don't know if you're talking about my vacation or if you're talking about trading, but that 30-day challenge is interesting. It's a nice little challenge where they say, okay, all right, let me take a couple $100 and see what I can do with it at the end of the month. But like I said, the goal is that you can see that, hey, you really actually can earn some good income with trading, and you don't have to have a lot of money. What you do need to do though is practice the skill. You do need to practice the skill and get your hours, into it. I started this, a few years ago, and, I made all the rookie mistakes and did everything, but I stuck with it. And so now here we are, a few years later, I'm confident enough to be able to get on here and show you my trading, earn some money from this and everything. So it definitely can earn you some extra income. All right, so we're on that third candle. Let me get here ready to draw the caution area. All right, there we go there. And let me just edit this a little bit. I take this caution area out through the end of the day, just so I always see it on the chart. having that visible range of, hey, probably shouldn't be trading right here, whatever you need to do. Some people don't need to do that, but I think it's good to have a visible indicator on your chart so you can say, okay, this is where I should trade, this is where I shouldn't trade at. And it just helps with overall trade execution. So you can see that nice and visible. And we're just looking for a definitive move, either up or down. We're waiting for that 15-minute, a 5-minute confirmation candle as well, because the market has been going up and then pulling back and fooling you and doing all this other stuff. So I do that just to kind of safeguard from that happening. I have noticed as well in the market that it's been a lot of trading up and then reversals and pulling back, especially over this past couple of days with the market going down. So you have like an initial push and then it'll get to, a profit area, and then it'll just pull back and start pulling back hard and go down for the rest of the day. It did that on yesterday. See, like you can see, we go to yesterday. Oh, actually, yesterday was actually hard down all the way down throughout the day, and then it went up, recovered. So that was a little bit different. But the day before yesterday, you can see it had a hard push up, and then it just began to pull down hard for the rest of the day, all the way down. So these are things you pay attention to in trends of the market and kind of what it's been doing, because that's what matters. So make that a little bit bigger. And we're just waiting for this price action. Market is trading kind of slow today. Trading lends itself while we're waiting for this price action. One of the things the questions that people have when they first start trading is like, what time am I going to trade, right? And especially if you have if you have a real job and things like that, it can be hard to carve out sometime. Here's a couple of things I recommend. It depends on what time you go to work. So if you go to work early, when I say early, like 8, 9 o'clock, well, trading in the morning is probably it's not going to work for you, because unless you have a sizable amount of money where you can do these overnight margins. The overnight margins is how much money that the market is going to require you to have to trade in like one contract. And if you're trading the micro contracts, you got to have like $2,000 in your account to do that. And if you're trading the minis like I trade, you got to have like $23,000. So most people don't have that in their account. I don't have that in my account. Oh, that's a hard push down right there. Very hard push down. Okay. All right. So we're paying attention to that. That's the fourth candle. An option could be to trade in the afternoon or trade during your lunch break, depending on how long your lunch break is. But the key to that, and I'm just looking at this candle to see where we get here. The key to that also is, if you can enter some trades around like the lunchtime, you definitely want to have in your stop loss and take profits, right? So you don't have to necessarily be sitting there looking at it for the trade to work out for you. You know, you may come in and look at the setup and say, okay, hey, I think it's going to go up now because of this analysis and whatever. And you're looking at that, and then you take the trade, and then you put your stop loss and you take profit in. And, you know, you can trade on a tablet, you can trade on a computer. You know, maybe you got a tablet you can take to work, you got your laptop you can take to work, and you install a program on there, and you can get online, you can enter the trade, put in your top loss, put in your take profit, and then the software is going to do that for you. So you can say your lunch break ends, you can go about doing what you're doing, and then if you win, if it hits your take profit, you make that money. If it hits your stop loss, you lose that money, you know, and you just set up your risk management to do it. So you don't have to be sitting directly in front of it. Same thing in the morning. Like if you say like you need to get out to work at like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and you take a trade now and you say, okay, I need to enter the trade, but I'm gonna go ahead and get out the trade. But I'm gonna put my parameters in. This is my stop loss. This is my take profit. You can do that and then walk off and get ready, get in your car and whatever. And then, you know, either what I'm trying to get at is either it's going to hit your take profit or it's not, or it's going to hit your stop loss and it's not, you know. So don't think you just have to be glued in front of the screen the whole time. So that's one thing to think about. You may take like one trade a day just doing that just to get started. Yeah, that pulled back. It went down in the 63, 76 to the area that we identified. And then it pulled up pretty hard. Went all the way down and pulled all the way up almost 10 points. So that's crazy. This is why we do confirmation candles, because this thing is pulling up all the way up to the 63.90s. So it went down here, and now within 5 minutes, it's pulling all the way back up another almost 10, 15 points. That's crazy.
Client reviews, you're in good hands with BetterHelp, where you can talk with real licensed therapists, not AI. Wellness shouldn't be overwhelming, and therapists can help figure out what's best for you. And yeah, it might involve a screen detox. Visit betterhelp.com/Spotify Music for 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Spotify Music.
At Domino's, you can get 2 medium, 2-topping pizzas for only $6.99.
Now, if it breaks below 63.85 again, I'm going to go in on a trade to the downside, but I'm going to be careful on a possible pull back up. I don't like a long wick like this where it goes down and then it pulls all the way back up like that. I don't really like those, that kind of price action. I much rather have a solid candle, you know, that lets you know that price action is moving in that direction. But when you have something like this, you just have kind of like a dip and then a quick pull back up. And right now it's kind of hovering here. Oh, wow. That's pulling it all the way back up. That's crazy. Look like this candle is going to end on the green. Wow. All right, now let's see if it goes down. Now, if you're quick, I mean, you could have got a good trade out of that, but that's not my type of trading. That's called scalping, where you're in and out of the trade really quick, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. And if you were, for instance, if you were a scalper and you thought it was gonna come back up, if you'd have got in somewhere right here and rolled it up, you know, you could have got a 10-point move right there. That'd have been great. I'm just not that type of trader. So just saying that, just it's better to stick to one strategy and perfect that strategy. And I'm not a scalper. I've tried it in the past, and so I don't work as well with getting in and out really quick. But I do work better with what I'm doing here is following that trend and allowing it to play out. And so, That's why, you know, this 15-minute break or ORB kind of works, because you can see now, you know, now we got about 20 minutes of price action, and it's all been within this spot right here, which is plus or minus only a couple of points. Now this one did dip down. That did look promising because it dipped down hard, but you can see it came all the way back up, and now we're still within this range here. So the trend has not been developed yet for the day. The market usually picks a trend, and the trend hasn't been developed. And so that's why, you know, I'm a little bit patient. I'll let it just work out because the trend hasn't developed. It's starting to go down now, though. Let me see if it's going to hit this. Yeah, I do like to see that. Let me see if it's going to break below here. Yeah, it hasn't broke yet, so let's be patient. It's still hovering here around this green line that you see is a 9 exponential moving average. So this is an average over 9 days for price action. Okay, that was a pretty hard dip right there. Let's see what we get. I'm looking for it to break below 63.85. Yeah, you can. I'm sorry. I just saw your question there, Nayabi. You can trade real money on Ninja. Yes, you can trade real money, but you can also practice with the demo feature. A lot of brokers have that, even not just futures brokers, but like regular brokers where you can trade stocks and options and stuff like that. They have a demo accounts where you can trade demo to practice, to get used to. Like some experienced traders would trade demo, like if they're trading something new. So they want to get used to trading something new. So they are practicing the demo, or maybe, you know, like a lot of times options traders, and this is a different conversation. Like if they're practicing a new strategy, you know, they may practice that new strategy on the demo account, and then when they feel comfortable, they'll do it with their real money. And so a lot of brokers have that. So it's a good intro into trading. So if you're interested, if you go open up an account with Ninja Trader, you will have to pay the market data with them. Now, every broker is different, but you know, the market data with them was like only $8 a month. But once you pay the market data, you can trade their demo account that I'm trading right now. And the reason why that's important is because some brokers, you can trade with them, but it's delayed. It's like 15 minutes delayed of data. So I really don't like trading delayed. Like, for instance, Thinkorswim, what we're looking at right now, they give you delayed data if you're trading on their demo account, but they do give you free market data. So you have a trade-off here or there. But with Ninja Trader, with futures, if you pay that market data, you know, you're essentially you're taking the trades. It's just not real money. And so that's why it's valuable, because, you know, if you practice these habits and you do everything right. I mean, well, I ain't gonna say everything right, but if you start to become profitable trading with them in real time and stuff like that, as long as you don't change anything up, I mean, it's still the same thing. Now, there are some emotions that come with trading money that you got to get used to, real money that you got to get used to, but and get used to losing and winning. But everything else is the same as far as the mechanics. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in right here. So you can see on Ninja Trader, this is where I'm at. And I'm looking for them to go down to the 63.70s, 63.73. That's where I have my stop loss at. But oh wow, it gave me 3 contracts instead of 1. Okay. So that's another reason why you trade with simulated data first, so you can get used to it. I forgot I traded on here. They have these 2 things, so I didn't put it on here. I did it over here, and I think I had 3 set instead of 1. So we'll see how the trade works out. But you can see I do like this. They show you how much you're making right here on the chart. You have your stop loss, and then you have your take profit. But we'll see what we get here. It dipped below 63.85 when I entered the trade. Actually, I got filled at 63.85.50, so it was kind of like on a pull up. This thing is a little hesitant though. It's kind of playing around that area. We get a new candle here in about a minute or so. Actually, let me take that back. It's about almost 2 minutes. Okay. So this is what I mean by you can set it. Once you have your stop loss and your take profit, you're just waiting for the trade to work out. So I'm gonna sit here and wait for the trade to work out. And it is you do, when you first start a trade, you do have to manage those emotions, because especially when you're trading with real money. You have to manage your emotions because you can get emotionally tied in here and really can actually hurt you. That's one of the things that's hardest to overcome in trading. The concepts and the principles you can learn, but the most important part is managing those emotions and managing your trader psychology. And so I do little things to kind of help me. Like I put my hands in my lap so I don't have them on my mouse. So I'm not quick to take a trade when I see something that doesn't work for me. It's like little things that I notice in my own psychology. I usually, you can't see it here, but I put my hands like on my stomach, or I put my hands on my chest, and I sit and I look, and wait for the trade to work out. So there's little things that you have to do to get your psychology right. And to be honest with you, most people, when they fail at trading, it's because of the psychology aspect of it. All right, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. All right, so this is the same thing. I made $712 on that trade. That was 3 contracts. Now, that's not I normally trade with 3 contracts on my other account, but I have some risk parameters set in here. So the reason why it stopped that trade is because I have a $500 per day limit on this account. And so that means that I can only make $500 and it has stopped me out. And then I can't trade for the rest of the day. Now you might be like, okay, well, why would you have something like that? Well, there's a thing in trading called overtrading, where you start making money and then your eyes get big and you want to make more and more and more and more. And it's really greed. So a lot of traders will do is they'll say, okay, once I hit what I want to make, I want to be done for the day. That way I don't go back in later and jeopardize what I did, because I'm telling you from firsthand experience, I've been up and made a lot of money sometimes even a few hundred or even $1,000, and then go back in and then lose it all because you keep trading and you take more trades, and then it's it's almost like if you're at the casino, the more you're in, you expose yourself to more risk, right? So, and that was a big push up too. So I'm actually glad that it stopped me out right there. So I made $712 on that trade with all the fees and stuff like that. It came up to $695, and I actually can't go back and trade. Like if I went in and tried to take a trade right now, it wouldn't let me take a trade because it's telling me that I've hit my profit target for the day. And so that's something that I'm definitely going to use when I do the small account challenge too, because I don't want to be jeopardizing myself in my trades. But it'll be a lot lower in the beginning. It'll probably be like $50 or it might be $100 or something like that. But you can see how, wow, this candle this turned around and went straight up to the to the sky. That's a big move right there. So this market has been doing a lot of change and up and back and forth like that, like I've been telling you. But in either case, I can't do any more trades today. But this is day 2 of practicing with Ninja Trader. So if you're interested in Ninja Trader, just you can shoot me an email or something like that. But I'm going to be doing this over for the rest of the week, practicing with this. And then when I come back from vacation, I'm going to start that small account challenge trading. And hopefully they can inspire you to let you know that there's something you can do. Start off demo trading like I'm doing now, and then transition to doing regular trading. But in any case, thank you so much for jumping on. So good to see both of y'all on here on the stream, and I will see you tomorrow.